Hi, and welcome to Empowered Marketing by Professor Hines. This podcast is devoted to beginning marketers and owners of small businesses. We're here to help you learn social media marketing. Each episode presents important elements in social media marketing that you can use in your campaigns to generate better results, especially more business. Empowered Marketing is exclusively sponsored by A-Cubed Marketing Services in Orange County, California. A-Cubed Marketing Services serves small and mid-sized businesses in the areas of strategic marketing consultation, social media marketing using all forms of social media, campaign creation and management in both paid and owned media, pay-per-click campaigns, search engine optimization, graphic design, and videography. A-Cubed Marketing is owned and managed by me, Professor Joe Hines. My experience includes over 20 years of Fortune 100 corporation marketing management, as well as 10 years of academic work as professor at California State University Fullerton, Concordia University, Biola University, Cal Baptist University, and Fullerton College. You can find out more about A-Cubed Marketing Services. Use the link on the homepage of this podcast or call A-Cubed Marketing at 714-872-0561. Hi, I'm Joe Hines. This is episode 2 in the Empowered Marketing Podcast. In today's episode, I'm continuing to lay out a solid understanding of the social media environment, key players, and important fundamentals that are important to understanding the rest of our podcast episodes. My goal is to make you as effective as you can be with your future campaigns. So once again, let's return to my classroom at Whittier College, where we'll continue our discussion from last time. And it's the endorsement that you give it that gives it this level of trustability and believability and credibility and all of those things, which is why this kind of marketing is so effective. Way more powerful than anything that we've had in the past. Okay? Yeah?
Sorry, I have a syllabus question.
Yeah.
So under chapter, like for today, it's in chapter 1. Are we supposed to read that before class?
I would love it if you guys would read it before, because then when you guys come in, it can be much more of a conversation. You guys will probably have questions about some of the material that you read. You might have had some time to think about it and throw out a comment, you know. I'd rather have it be a conversation between us than me just talking at you, right? And that's actually, this talking at you idea is also another big difference between traditional advertising and social media. Traditional advertising, the brand manager had an idea. This is my campaign, this is my new product, the marketing research said this is what people are going to respond to, so I'm going to put this message in a bottle and float it off of my island and hope that people pick it up and go to the store and buy it. That's one-way communication, right? How effective is that? Well, not very. And do you guys like being interrupted when you're watching a show? Now they're going to make me watch a commercial? So all of a sudden now, because of this two-way Web 2.0 technology that we've got, we can all actually begin to have a real conversation. And it's that piece that's really important about social media. It's the connection, it's the relationship building, which adds to the trustability, and the fact that it's non-interruption. It's what they call it is permission-based communication. So another major important difference between what was communicated by Heineken or Budweiser beer, let's all talk about Heineken or Budweiser and that's it. Now the approach is more, I'm interested in my consumers. I want to know what my consumers think. I want to understand what their problems are and what their needs are. And when I hear from them, then I'm going to start to share information. When you share information and how many of you guys have ever done sales? Okay, so was it retail clerk sales, or was it more of a asking questions, getting to know the buyer, understanding where the opportunities were? You have? Yeah. Okay, so what's more important, to sit there and talk or to ask questions?
So ask questions and try to
You want to look for the opportunities, and unless you shut your mouth and start listening, and you don't know how to go about doing that, right? That's the same thing with social media. So in the old days, it was not a relationship. Today, it really is much more of a relationship, because with the new technologies that are there, we can actually pick up a lot of information about who these people are and give them the sorts of info that they need in order to be persuaded to follow our directions. Marketing is a career, and you're getting a degree in manipulation. You know what I mean? You're learning how to manipulate people. That is the goal of marketing. If you don't manipulate people into doing things that are positive for the business, like go and buy my stuff, don't buy my competitor's stuff, you haven't succeeded. So, and the only way that we manipulate people, the only way that we sell people is to get them to identify with us, and we begin to spin the message that's going to turn them on based on what we've learned is important to them, right? So that's the power of this network structure. So that's chapter 3, anyway. Then we come back on, I'm going to kind of end the review of the calendar here. In chapter 4, we're going to have an in-class exam, our first test of the semester, over chapters 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Not a big major test, but I just want to have us, stay current with the class and get this under our belt, because these are foundational chapters that we then, in fact, this whole class is kind of like milestones, right? You have to get a base of information underneath you and really have a good comfort level for it in order for me to introduce the next round of information and have you guys feel comfortable with that. So this is my way of helping you guys stay current, okay? So we'll take the test on week 4 for chapters 1 through 3, and then we'll come back and we'll cover chapter 4. In week 5, the first Monday in October, I've got a gal named Jill Fox who owns a social media company, kind of like mine, coming in, and she's going to tell you how she works with her clients and how she goes about the planning process, and how does she build a strategy and a campaign for her clients. Because your project in here is going to be creating a social media campaign, it's really important to understand how it's done, right? So I'm going to be talking a lot from my experience. Jill's going to come in one night and talk to you guys from her experience, and hopefully, we'll continue to find ways to make this stuff more real for you, okay? So I guess we should just get into it. Your book provides a definition of what social media is, and it says that social media are the online means of communication, conveyance, collaboration, and cultivation among interconnected and interdependent networks of people. Well, let's break that apart for a second. When we say that it's about the communication of ideas, are you guys familiar with communication theory? Have you taken any classes in that? Well, in communication theory, we say that there is a sender. You could be you in a conversation, and the sender has an idea in his mind, which goes through a process before it's shared with a receiver. The process is we first encode our idea, we attach language to it, and then we search for a medium to send the message through. So like in our classroom this evening, we're using just the air, my larynx and the vocal cords in it is vibrating, and my air is forcing it out through my body, and it's traveling through the air to you, where you go through the mechanical process of hearing my message, and then your mind begins to decode my encoded message so that my thoughts are now in your head. Okay, so that's the whole communication thing, and there's obviously, analogies around that throughout our society. In social media, you've got a sender, could be somebody with a Facebook page, and that Facebook user is going to have a message which he's going to post, and then you might be the receiver. You're a visitor or a friend with the person that posted, and you see that message, and you, of course, unscramble it, attach meaning and thought and feeling to it, and perhaps you respond. Perhaps you like it, Perhaps you share that message on your page, so on and so forth. The definition also says that there are interconnected and interdependent networks. Well, the interconnection has to do with my page being a node where people can gather because we have shared interests, and people who are friends of mine like the content that I have, and we use it as a way to keep touch with each other. Or a business might have a brand page on Facebook, in which case, they're going to be posting information about their company and the things that they do and the ways that they can help their consumers and their customers. The interdependence of people in networks says that, for instance, and here's a great example, LinkedIn. And how many of you guys have a LinkedIn page? Okay, I see quite a number of you guys do. Well, with that interdependence, let's say that you are connected to somebody on a first level of connection, right? First level, there are 2, 3, 4 different levels in LinkedIn. And you go to all your first level connections and say, hey, I'm looking for a job in this particular field. And people see, your email to them through the LinkedIn system. And some of them get back to you and say, hey, John, why don't you go through my connections and see if there's anybody in there that you would like to have an introduction to, and I'd be happy to provide you with that introduction. So the reason that this can work is because there is kind of an interdependence. The assumption that somebody who may respond to you could have in their mind is, at some point I might be looking for work, and if I help, somebody now, I'm likely to get that same sort of a scratch my back, I'll scratch yours experience in the future. I can then start working through my friend's network connections in LinkedIn and see all the people that he's connected to or she's connected to, some of the communities, meaning prior organizations may have worked with, maybe some of the LinkedIn groups that they may belong to, and so forth. And we create this mutual support network out there in our professional lives through a medium like LinkedIn. So I think that's a great definition of this, explanation of communication, collaboration, cultivation, and the interconnection and interdependence of networks. Well, we can take a look at, it's communication. Well, what is being communicated? And in social media, everything from your personal interests to your, affiliations with groups and associations to the things that you like or your levels of interest in personal areas is all communicated. Now, on the business side, what's become really important is that when we create these profile pages, this information becomes available to people who want to advertise on LinkedIn. Let's take a look at the next piece about conveyance, right? This is what media channels are we using? Collaboration. Who is doing the collaborating? Okay. If you were to take a look at the number of users that Facebook has today, there are about 2 billion users on Facebook worldwide. That's a huge number, but I think to really put it in perspective, we should take a look at nations around the world and say, okay, well, how many is 2 billion? And if we look at the nation of China, the People's Republic of China, for instance, we see that's an example of 2 billion. Or if we look at most of Europe, everything from Ukraine going west all the way to Ireland and north and south in between, that is approximately 2 billion people. So what we're saying is that the population of users in Facebook is roughly equivalent to all of Eastern and Western Europe or all of China, which is really an amazing size population. Next thing I'd like to take you guys through is this idea of the social media value chain. When I talk about social media value chain, I'm really talking about sort of the ecosystem, or where does all of this communication take place? Well, in order to have social media, we have to have an infrastructure in place, and that infrastructure includes all of the world's servers and all of the personally owned desktop, laptop, tablet, and smartphone computing out there, all in communication with each other across the World Wide Web. And then we've got the next level up are all of the companies that host social media. So this could be Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Twitter, you name it, YouTube, Vimeo. All of these are examples of channels or hosts. Now, when you go on any particular page, or any particular site, I should say, and we look at it, realize that what you're really looking at is computer software. Okay, this is not, Facebook is nothing more than a pretty sophisticated software that has been made available to the world on a shared basis, and they make it free to us to use because at the end of the day, companies like Facebook are really, really interested in selling advertising space to large and small companies who might be buying in on huge buys, or maybe something as small as like my company, where maybe I'm spending $100, $150 a month to help me get the word out there about my company. But it's all software, and for most of us, it's free to use. And then, of course, all of the devices, which I've already mentioned, right? The hardware that's involved, not just the servers and all of the wiring between them, but of course the devices like the smartphones that are in your pockets tonight, or the tablet, or your iPad, or your laptop computer, or your desktop. And as you've noticed for a number of years now in Web 2.0, anytime that you change devices, the configuration of the content that you see changes as well to reflect the size of the screen and the limitations of the device that you're using. This podcast, Empowered Marketing by Professor Hines, is exclusively sponsored by A-Cubed Marketing Services in Orange County, California. In business since 2013, A-Cubed Marketing offers a complete suite of internet marketing services, including strategic marketing consultation, social media marketing using all forms of social media, campaign creation and management in both paid and owned media, pay-per-click campaigns, search engine optimization, graphic design, and videography. A-Cubed Marketing is owned and managed by Professor Joe Hines. His experience includes over 20 years of Fortune 100 corporate marketing management, as well as 10 years of academic work as professor at California State University Fullerton, Concordia, Biola, Cal Baptist University, and Fullerton College. Find out more about A-Cubed Marketing Services. Use the link on the homepage of this podcast or call A-Cubed Marketing at 714-872-0561.